Let's play that ending again real quick.
What a
1,
pleasure.
2, 3, 4. 1.
Sounded great to me both ways, guys. A real surprise for you tonight here on Drum Channel. Two of the greatest percussionists in town. The legendary Richie Gajate-Garcia. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody.
And you've heard him on American Idol. You're going to hear him really soon again on Dancing with the Stars. If you wonder who that percussionist is, where the rhythm's coming to, that's what they're dancing to. The show would be nothing without you. We have to tell. This is Drum Channel, right? Roland Garcia is here with us. Thank you for joining us, guys. I want to tell you to get into the chat, and if we answer your question, well, we're going to answer every one of your questions. If we choose your question, which we'll do at random, you could win a Kahate
bracket.
Whoa! And what's that all about? Well, let's just start for a second. The Kahate bracket, which you probably know of as the Kahate bracket, which is one of the first products that actually allowed a drummer to play a bell with his foot, right? And Richie showed me on a napkin, actually, back in 1978, maybe?
Yeah,
78,
that's
79,
when I came here,
yeah.
right.
This invention that he had, which has been in the LP product line for all these years. So if you want to take a chance of winning one of those, just get into the chat, ask us a question, and we'll pick one of the questions that is asked at random and let you people know who won at the end of the show.
And in case they don't know what it is, there's one right there.
That's exactly right. That's it. Very good. So, got to ask you, and we have some questions already from pre-show, but growing up in the house, you know, music is obviously, I don't have to ask if you came from a musical family because you couldn't have come from a more musical family. Right. But at what point did you really feel that this was going to be part of your career? Would you really felt this is a passion that you were going to follow? I mean, it was a way of getting out of doing the dishes, possibly. I'd go practice, but at what point in time did you really think that this was going to be your life?
You know, at a very young age, I felt fortunate, we would go on tour with my dad all the time. So my mom worked for the airlines when we were younger, so we would follow him on tour. We would go to Japan, Thailand, so kind of the way of life is, I've grown up that way, you know? So as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be a drummer since I was born, basically.
And you're killing it. And we chose hybrid drum sets, and we told the community here on Drum Channel before the show that we were going to be doing that. And we had some questions about what is a hybrid drum set, and what are the choices of instruments that you have here, and how would that incorporate into a traditional drum set? Richie, you're the master of this.
Well, essentially what it is it's picking the instruments that are going to help you do a particular kind of gig. You know, if there's some where they want just a cajon, you just play a cajon. But now sometimes they'll say, okay, but can you add like a shaker to it, and then maybe like a cowbell or something, or a cymbal? Then you go like, okay, so now I got to start playing all this stuff, which involves a complete different kind of independence also. Because like when you play drums, right, you play this way. If you play congas, you play this one. But when you play this stuff, you play this way, like you're doing a washboard, you know? So it involves different technique. But the whole idea is I pick instruments according to what I have to do on a particular gig. Sometimes I have just a few things. Maybe, for example, like when Roland does some of these gigs, he does, what is it you put on your leg? He puts some...
I just tie jingles to my leg.
He ties jingles to his leg.
And then creative, you know?
Right. And you use a tambourine on a Kahate bracket on the other thing, and then just a cajon and play a shaker here. So that's one way. So the selection of drums all should be what you need to do a particular job. So consequently, I never use exactly the same setup, but I have the instruments that I know that work for any kind of setup. So that's the whole idea.
Earlier, before we shot, Terry Bozzio came back from Japan today, and he's going to be doing some lessons with us over the next couple of weeks. Live with Chuck Wackerman and I believe Virgil Donati too. So check out our schedule, see what's coming up. But you were doing something and we were both fooled to wonder where the other bass drum pedal was. The pattern you did between...
I was playing, well, I'm playing the cajon with my hand.
Play a little of that pattern again to show that what you can do between a cajon.
So it sounds like
it's beautiful.
like 4 guys.
It does. Well, together you definitely sound like a major percussion section. Hybrid drum set. I mean, when you on the show, what are you playing? On Dancing with the Stars, what is your normal percussion rig?
You know, it varies, but my main rig is kind of like 3 congas, timbales, and then toys, and some electronics. But occasionally they'll have us like up front with some of the artists, and I'll play cajon and a tambourine and a shaker. It varies.
We also have a surprise. We have breaking news on Drum Channel tonight. A surprise announcement that we're going to be making. Okay. Yes, he looks like he doesn't know what it is. But you do know what it is. Yeah, a little bit earlier on. Why don't we get to that right now? Why don't you introduce what this picture is all about? Tell people what we're looking at right now on the screen. This has just happened. What is that?
Oh,
I know that guy. He's in a cap and gown.
Yeah, so this just happened right before the shoot, and so my father's being honored with the honorary doctorate from Lincoln College outside of Chicago, and it's a school very close to where he went to school, and you know, I think it's well deserved that he's receiving this award.
Congratulations. That's very,
thank you.
very rare that I hear that, you know, of a percussionist. I mean, it just shows how much impact you made on the community. Yeah. And how, I mean, I'm not going to go through the list of artists that Richie has played with, because when you take a look at it, especially printed out, you'll be using a lot of Forrest.
Well, like how many bongo players have a doctorate degree? I don't know.
That's true. I don't think there are any, as a matter of fact. But what was your thought when you got the call? Was it a call or an email, or how did you hear about this?
No, it was they were asking. I had done a clinic over there and with their students and spent the days and all of that. And then they were asking their honorary doctorates program was coming up, and they were asking me to send information and everything, and my wife, Mary, helped get all of these information and letters and stuff like that submitted to them, and they did some research on me, and somehow or another, a unanimous trustee vote, I got the honorary doctor's degree. So,
how well deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is very nice. When you are in a situation where you're with a band and you're playing with a drum set player, as you are on the show, and you're often the drum set player that the percussion is playing with. How would you approach a pattern that you're playing? Maybe you could show us a pattern that you would play as you have here, either within the song, or you're going to be improvising something in a few minutes. Okay. And then how you might have to adapt that for a performance situation, where you're playing with a more of a pop band rather than a Latin band. Okay. Maybe you could break down a couple of patterns that are typical, and then show how you might have to modify them.
Sure. Okay. So if I'm playing in a pop situation, I automatically, because I'm a drum set player, I think of that groove. Typically, the groove is going to come from like listening to the bass player and how you lock in with the kick pattern. So say if it's a groove like this. So I'm playing the kick pattern here. Filling in with my right hand. Now from there, I have all this at my disposal. So I'm just going to try to add something to just create more movement, you know? You want to demonstrate one too?
Like that. Well, you know, one thing too is like, for example, let's say I don't have a pedal. You just have the cajon, because not everyone has the pedal. So then usually what I'll do is, and I've developed to play cajon with one-handed, right? Sometimes that's all you need, you know? Or if I have a tambourine, you have that tambourine around somewhere? So yeah. Then if you want to develop it more, then if you have a pedal and you have a hi-hat or something, then you can start doing more, right? So you have to. And these are all independents. It's really funny because when I teach sometimes a student, they'll do this, and then when they do this part, they're like, trying to get because it seems easy, but the motions are different than what you're used to up here. So that's why it takes a little time. You got to develop some tambourine playing or some of the shaker playing, etc., to get that kind of thing out. And then, of course, if you want to develop it more, then you would add a cymbal and this and whatever else you want to build up to, depending on your playing situation.
I have just had an idea. We think these things up as we go along here.
Okay.
As far as giving the Kahate bracket away, why don't we give it to the first person who can answer this question, and don't you guys answer it.
Okay.
Who actually got a patent on a pedal hitting a cajon? Who was the actual person, the name of the person that got a patent on a pedal hitting a cajon? The first person that sends us the right answer in Drum Channel in our chat will win the Kahate bracket, okay? I'll keep an eye on it here. We'll see if we find out as time goes by.
Well, I don't even know who did that.
You know? Okay.
I know.
I thought you did for sure. Anyways, carrying the theme along. When you're playing on the show, when I spoke with Nate Wood on The Voice, he said it was, and he actually has lessons here on Drum Channel. Check them out in our Secrets of the Pros, where it was interesting for me. He would play a regular drum fill, his favorite drum fills, which he liked, but he had to learn how to adapt them to always play 2 and 4 while he was doing it. On the show, I know, because of your background, the tendency is going to be to stretch out because you hear things. How do you think about what you're playing in that environment as opposed to if you were without dancers out in front of you?
So on that show, I'm fortunate that because it's a dance show that I can actually they can really feature the percussion. Our great drummer, Nissan Stewart, who's also with DW.
Great guy.
I'm able to kind of play off of him. He's kind of keeping the time solid. And the thing is, the dancers, they choreograph their dances to what we're doing. So if we're adding accents or such, I have to get it every time, So whatever we do at rehearsal in the reference, I have to do it live. Otherwise, they're going to look back, they'll do an accent, and it's not there, So it's really important just to be consistent and to listen to our references as far as what I did in rehearsal.
So you're orchestrating what you're doing to some degree based on what they're doing.
Exactly.
So when it comes live to do the performance at night, do you chart that out? They're doing a million moves in an hour.
Luckily we have kind of like iPad chart situation where basically I can change the page with the foot pedal. So I will write accents in just to make sure, that I play them. Whether I'm playing fills, I always have to make sure I hit those accents, So yeah, that's how it goes.
That's amazing. We have a right answer already. Maybe it was too easy of a question. Josh, how did you know that? I'd like to know that. Maybe you know more than you should know. I don't know.
So what is the answer?
Well, I'll hold on. I'll tell you the answer.
I want to know.
I'm going to keep you hanging just a little bit. Through your career, what was a moment in time that you kind of look back and say, this was, something that I'll treasure for the rest of my life? Performance with somebody or?
Well, my God, there's so many different things. I would say like the first time that I played with Phil Collins was really a thrill for me, and to be, that movie Tarzan had come out and they wanted extra percussion, so I was hired on to be this, more percussion and do all this kind of stuff. So it was a thrill for me to do that because I always loved this music too. But it's different scenarios because being Latino, I got to play with Celia Cruz, I got to play with Tito Puente, I played with so many different stars that each one of them created a complete different scenario and a joy. When I played with Patti LaBelle, it was like amazing, and I played with Diana Ross, and you know what I'm saying? All of these things, so all of them have their own individual memories for me, and it's hard for me to pinpoint and say like this was the one. But the one thing that was really great about doing all of these different gigs that I did was all of the amount of experience that I got and how to approach all these different things. And one of my favorite recordings that I've done, which is a live thing, was with Christopher Cross. We did a live album or live video and CD in Paris, and we recorded all of his music live. And it was really great because sometimes when you have a recording, sometimes the percussion is buried a little bit in the mix, but here you hear everything. And to me, it's like, yes, I love that, Finally, there's that cowbell, so.
Why don't we let you guys stretch out for a few minutes here and just improvise something between
Okay, well,
the
we're
two
going
of
to
you.
switch and
Absolutely.
and do this thing over here.
While they're doing that, let me tell you about some of the cool things we've had coming up here. Tomorrow, Terry Bozio, Dennis Chambers, and Tony Royster. Check that out. They're going to be playing a jam. We're going to be revisiting. Dave Elich and Mike Miley was here yesterday. It's getting a lesson from Dave, basically, as if you were going to his house. And Greg Bissonette is going to be joining him next week. That's the live lessons that we have every Wednesday. We're kind of out of control here at Drum Channel at the moment. I'll have to admit that myself. Petrito's coming out here to do some filming on Monday. Mike Mitchell is scheduling his band to come back and do some things with us. Luke Holland and Jason Richardson are going to be here filming within the next couple of weeks. Matt Garska is coming out with a friend. Check out the neat interview we have on the site with Mick Fleetwood. I had the pleasure of interviewing Mick, and it was amazing. It was an insight into musicality, how he approaches the drums, how he got his pocket, how he got his groove. I often say you can learn a lot of things on Drum Channel by the entertainment shows. You know, those are as important to me as the lessons, because you're going to hang out with these people, you're going to get motivated, you're going to get inspired, and you're going to get stories that you didn't necessarily, you know, expect to get. So check back on the schedule here at Drum Channel. I really think that everything that you'll be able to gain out of what we have is information that you won't get anywhere else. And it's fun, right, guys? We just have a good time here. You learn. And
Sure, it's the best place to be.
It's a great experience. All right, so we switched.
We switched setups, and
Yep.
we're going to play just a little duet thing that we worked out, and it's of course, in the Latin side, because
All right.
grew up with rice and beans, so here we go.
This is the Drum Channel Percussion All-Stars.
There we go.
No problem
One more
at all
time.
there. Question, simple one, but not as easy as it looks, and I'll have both of you kind of answer it.
Okay.
Any particular thing you would practice as far as holding a shaker while you're playing? Two things going in two different directions. Why don't I start with you, Roland? Any tips with young drummers starting out, even behind a drum set or not, how they would play a shaker, and anything they would use to practice while they're playing a shaker and with the other hand playing the kit?
Yeah, I think the most basic thing is to kind of get 16th notes going on the shaker. And then pick a pattern that you, if you're a drummer, that you would play, like a kick pattern, like, that's the most simple thing. Right? Or you can do the bass drum on the left hand. Right? Then you can add. So everything is coming from.
Nice.
And just try different patterns and different things.
So the idea of one hand going, it's a little bit kind of like you're playing a ride cymbal, I guess. Do you feel it's a similar Mollerish type motion that you use in order to get that?
I think you have to be relaxed. For me, the downbeats are the forward motion, and the upbeats being the back. So 1, 2, 3. So once you get that going, that's what's most comfortable for me.
And that's it. And the thing is, it's like your, shall we say, your hi-hat or your ride cymbal or something. You know, something to give you the motion, because the cajon just, you know, you don't have motion, but. And this helps you get into the groove, you know, that thing.
Kind of a further explanation, I can paraphrase this, is that you talked about playing pop, Latin rhythms in a pop setting. I'll add a little bit to this question. One thought would be, when are you thinking clave? When are you thinking, you know, 4/4? But the actual question is more like, could you play a Latin rhythm in a Latin rhythm style and play the same rhythm in a pop style and show how it might sound different?
Well, you want me to do something? Okay. Well,
We could do something
Both
together.
of you do it. Yeah, right, right.
Okay, so, hold on. Okay, so
how do
why
you
don't
get your foot around the conga drum? That's another question. We got that one covered though.
Right.
So you want to set something Latinly and then go into like a backbeat kind of thing?
Sure.
Okay.
I find that just 16-note grooves really work well with Latin patterns. So like something like. Transitioning back and forth.
Can I explain something?
Yeah.
Usually when you play something, even if it's Latin-y feeling, and the pop stuff, you don't lay so much into that 8-note tumbao thing that the conga does, because it makes it go too straight. I'm going to play the same groove, and I'm going to play two different ways, almost the same beat, okay?
Perfect, that's what we're looking for.
So go, 1.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what happens is when you try to play, this sometimes is a little tough for some of the guys that are real traditional, like conga players, because they're so used to that, what they call the secret hand, which is the left hand playing the. You hear all of that, but in the pop stuff, it's not that necessary because the drummer's covering all those kind of notes. So then all you're doing is kind of doing the accents and kind of. immediately the clave mentality comes in.
That's why you're Dr. Garcia. I know now. It's coming very clear. You really have a mastery of the instrument and all the different bands that you've played with for all those years and all the different styles. But give everybody a little bit of background where you came from.
Well, originally shall we say, my first teacher or mentor was my father, and he played many, many years ago in the 40s with Xavier Cugat. But then he stopped. He never made it a career. He just did it for a while. And then when we were in Puerto Rico, of course, his love for music, there was always conga drums in my house. And he just started teaching me a way. And what's funny is I learned the way that Ray Barreto plays, which is not using the 3 motions, just everything was like double strokes. Like that. But so then, of course, being Puerto Rican and growing around all the Latin bands, and my dad, as I tell sometimes, in fact, I told my students today, I said there was no YouTube, there was no, you know what I mean, no drum channel, nothing like this. The only way I could learn was for my father to take me to see musicians play. And I learned like that. And a lot of things, because I do some things left-handed and right-handed, was because of the mirror image, not because someone taught it to me that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, and that was the thing. And of course, I loved to dance in Puerto Rico. It's just part of my culture. And one thing led to another, and that's how I got into it.
And we're going to have them go over to play more traditional on congas and timbales, which would be definitely Latin genre.
Yeah, just as if we had to go do that kind of a situation, bang, that's what we go do.
But when you came to America the first time, where did you go? To New York?
No, Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
That's why I'm getting a doctorate from Lincoln, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's another.
Well, I didn't come to study music. I came to study business administration.
Oh.
And then while in Springfield, my ears kept going towards the music department, and I said, enough of this math stuff. I'm going to go groove. So
good for you. You could have been doing somebody's taxes today.
That's right.
Change his career. Right. We're going to take a short break and allow you guys. We have to move the computer over there. You're going to play another track for us.
Okay.
And then we have some questions about hitting the timbale and how you get a slap sound. Actually, maybe we could do that here just before we break away, because we could get a close up with what you're doing there. Question is, how do you get the slap sound on a conga drum?
Okay.
That's what you were showing Terry Bozzio a moment ago.
Right. So one of the things that when you do a slap is that you have to know that you feel it towards the tips of your fingers, and when you do an open tone, you feel it towards this part of your hand or all of your fingers. So an open tone would be like that, right? But when I'm going to do a slap, I sort of curve my fingers a little bit, so shall we say there's a little thing in between, and then you have that, see? But the motion is from my wrist. So, see, a lot of guys I see them trying to go like this, using their whole arm. And there's no power in that. But when you go like that, see, you can hit the drum. So the whole idea also to keep your thumb out of the way and up so you don't hit the rims, okay? And of course, the way when you're learning is that you put your left hand to muffle the drum, and then you get the real dry sound, you see? And it's always... And it's that motion, that thing. And then once you do that, the best way to develop it is to do real simple exercises like I have in my books and stuff, which is just like bass, slap, bass, open, bass, slap, bass. Once you get it, then you start, you know what I mean, putting it into patterns. Because the main thing about this instrument is the sound, is what I always say. Once you know how to get the sounds, then learning the patterns is just a matter of putting them in the order that they need to be.
And your books. Tell everybody what those are and where they are.
My books, okay. Well, unfortunately, I have 4 books in the market. One is Play Congas Now, the Basics and Beyond. The second one is Play Bongos and Hand Percussion Now, Basics and Beyond. Play Timbales Now, Basics and Beyond, and my latest book is Play Cajon Now, Basics and Beyond, but the Cajon's book is about hybrid, this kind of stuff, playing.
And the inventor side of the family, I'm dying to see, you said you have some good ideas up there in your head too, you just have to find the time to put them on paper.
Exactly.
if somebody were to want some congas, this is, you know, a real leading question, that were a little bit lighter, what would you suggest, Doctor?
My congas.
You're
no.
kidding. You have your own conga drums?
Yes.
This is your signature series LP line.
Yeah, I have to tell you, you know, one thing that is always tough for any conga player is carrying congas up and down clubs and stairs and all this stuff like that. And a beautiful thing that some years ago when I was talking to LP, I said, I'd like to have a drum made of wood that's never been used before, something. And they said, well, we have this wood that's light and this, but we're not sure if it's going to withstand the pressure. I said, I don't care, let's do it. And then, and I said, and I'd like to also try top tuning, because years ago when Slingerland was around, they had a top tuning thing, which the drum was terrible, but the tuning was great. And anyway, so we came up with this drum. It's light. It's really easy. In fact, there's a picture of somebody on Facebook that is holding both of them like this, showing how light they are compared to, you know, other congas.
Couldn't possibly do that.
So that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm always, you know, whatever can make something easier to deal with, I'm definitely all for that. And that's this drum. They sound great. They're really actually very popular right now. The color's a beautiful color, very common. You can play them anywhere. Top tuning, that kind of a thing. So buy it.
Let's have you go over and let's hear you play them with the timbales, and we're going to take a real short break because we need to carry the computer over there and get set up.
Yeah, so on this piece, Roland's going to play congas, I'm going to play timbales.
Perfect, we got it.
Go.
Excellent, okay,
Yeah.
we'll be right back.
This band is no rehearsals, no sound checks. Nobody can tell anybody what to play. I can't tell Cito, no, I don't like that drum beat. Nobody says anything to anybody, you know, and that's the rules, and that's the way I like it, you know. And I'm blessed to have such great musicians. It's always a joy, you know, and there's always like something happens that always sets me off, and I you know, freak out and go, oh yeah, and laugh, you know. That's what I look for, and that's why I'm here. And thank you, Don, for letting us come here and do this for the drum. It's drumchannel.com.
Hi, I'm Don Lombardi, the founder of DW Drums and drumchannel.com. This is the new Drum Channel. It's where you're going to get invaluable information that I know you're not going to get anywhere else. Drum Channel is about education and entertainment and having a lot of fun. And that's what we want to do here on Drum Channel. Have a lot of fun with you, teach you how to play, and entertain you. And I can tell you in the entertainment shows, there's some really good lessons. When you hear two of the greatest drummers in the world talking to each other, you're going to learn a lot about not only how they play, but why they played it. We have over 800 lessons and 250 shows, and we have new content coming up almost every day. In fact, we never can tell exactly who's going to come by. Artists come by all the time to help inspire you and motivate you. I know you're going to enjoy Drum Channel as much as we do bringing it to you. Check out the Jazz Ministry. We have it up in the store right now. We have a couple of tracks up that are just for subscribe members that you can see. It's about 2.5 hours. It's a great insight into 4 of the greatest musicians in the world. Abe Sr. and Abe Jr., another father and son team that were here playing together, drums and bass in that situation. But what you'll learn about them and what you'll hear is the lesson. Again, the entertainment, the concerts we have here on Drum Channel are definitely a great way to learn not only how to play the drums, not only what you're going to be playing, but what it takes to really become a musician. That's kind of another level. And we're going to talk about that a little bit after you guys play, but play another track for us. This will be fun to see you really going in a typical way.
Yeah. This is like if we got called for a salsa gig straight ahead, no hybrid stuff, then here we go.
got the
Oh, my
gig.
God.
You got it. Thank you, man. That was really fun. We have a question. We covered it a little bit.
Okay.
On timbales, could you show a basic pattern on timbales that a drummer could use on a drum set? A timbale pattern, if you're at a drum set and you want to play a timbale pattern on the timbales, now could you demonstrate
On the
us what-
timbales or on the drum set?
Well, I mean, if you would play it on the timbales and then relate it to this is what you can do on a drum set. This is a timbale pattern and you can play it on the drum set.
Well, the thing is, like a cowbell rhythm, let's say there's a cowbell there. This pattern is like the handbell pattern, and it's the driving pattern of both patterns that I played. I was playing two. I was playing. So one's the mambo bell pattern, one's the bongo bell pattern. So this pattern. The only thing is I add the bass drum to it. And then if he can do clave with his foot.
Very nice.
Basically how it works.
Same question came up for congas. A conga pattern that a drummer could play on a drum set, assuming there's no other percussionist in there. Do you have a basic, maybe you could play a pattern, then Richie, you could play it on the kit, but is there a basic, I know the all-time don't do is the rim shot and then the two on the ba-chicka-dunka, because that's going to be copying what you're doing. But
Right.
maybe show what you're doing on the conga drums, and then you could show how you would apply that to a kit.
Cool. Do you have a pattern you want to start?
Well, just
or-
the same kind of thing, but doom back tiki tuku tuku back tiki tutu that, you know, and I'll use the tom tom as a.
Yeah, so this is a basic tumbao, they call it. But it's where you place the low conga, which is important. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So by myself. See, so I'm sort of imitating what's happening over there, but different sounds, but more or less.
Very cool. That's a phenomenal explanation. That's a lot for you guys to practice out there. We'll be transcribing this, so they'll be able to take it to the drum set.
Beautiful.
And play it. Or if you're learning how to play congas. General question, in the world of, you know, young musicians coming up today, the importance, we emphasize it a lot here on Drum Channel, of being as well-rounded as you can, even beyond the percussion world, into writing and arranging and composing and learning how to play other instruments. But becoming, being a drummer, you started as drums or percussion?
Percussion first.
Percussion, and then learn the drums.
Right.
Did you start with drums first early on, or percussion?
I think drums were my first thing, but around the same age, percussion as well.
How important is it, maybe just to emphasize to the young kids out there, to round out their curriculum of learning by becoming percussionists in addition to becoming drummers?
Well, you want me to?
Roland, why don't you start with that?
Well, for me, growing up, I always knew, my dad taught me to just take every opportunity that I could. So I've played in salsa bands, I've played in rock bands, I did drum corps for years. I took all these influences and kind of created what is my style now. So I think it's important just to take every opportunity you can and to play with any bands, you know. As long as you're playing every day, that's the most important thing. And then just pick up things as you go.
And think how important that, you know, background was, being on like American Idol, where you're playing different songs, different genres all night long from one
Exactly.
song to the next. What do you think?
Well, for me, the key today is that you have to be versatile, and by learning as many different styles as possible, that gives you the versatility to be able to perform in any genre. The beautiful thing about learning, shall we say, Afro-Cuban music and Brazilian music is the independence aspect that you get from it, because all of the rhythms that are played on kit come from the percussion. So if you understand what's happening in the percussion, when you go play on the kit, you have a complete different approach to it and different understanding as to how these rhythms should be played. And don't forget to ask me about the cha-cha.
I'm going to ask you, this is been in the back of my mind for years, and I knew I heard it somewhere, and I just realized I heard it from Richie. So we have two stories to tell. I'm going to tell the story about the pedal and the cajon, and you'll tell the story about the cha-cha.
Okay.
I'll fill you in on a little backstory on the pedal of the cajon.
Okay.
Back in 2006, 2007, I was involved in rebuilding the Gunbox product line. And Alex Acuna was coming out regularly, and Efren Toro was coming out regularly, two amazing cajon players like yourselves. And they would be able to, as a gringo drummer, one of the cool things that great cajon players can do is they make it sound like a complete drum set. So they can get the bass sound, and they can get that snare sound, and back and forth. I'm almost like double jointed amazingly fast. So I thought I would play a joke on them. So I took a bass drum pedal, and I cut a hole in the bottom of a cajon, and I screwed one of our pedals into it, and I hooked up a cable to it so it would come out the side of the cajon. And they came out, and they were working in the R&D room next to my office, and I went into my office, and I started playing it. And I sounded pretty damn good because I was getting all these bass. And within seconds, Alex came around the door, and they just broke up laughing. Because he was like, how is a guy doing that? How is he getting the bass note and getting the snare drum notes all at the same time? So anyway, the shameless answer to the question is I got a patent on pedals hitting a cajon back in 2006.
So you invented it.
I invented the pedal hitting a cajon. Yes,
look at that.
I thought you knew that. Anyway, that's my trivia for the day.
Okay, I'll give you a
I don't know how
doctorate
Josh found out. So you come over here from your homeland, right?
Right.
And you get a gig. There's a message to this story.
So I get a call for a casual, and they said, okay, we're going to do a cha-cha. You know, they're doing all the other stuff, the horas and the, you know what I mean, the tarantelas and all that stuff.
This is a casual band, like
right,
American
so
casual band, not a
Now
Latin
they say
band.
a cha-cha-cha, so I go, okay, ready. They go, 1, 2, 3. No. I go, what do you mean, no? Because that's not a cha-cha. I go, it's not a cha-cha, excuse me. I'm from Latin America. I know what a cha-cha is. No, a cha-cha is... I said, what? Yeah, that's how you play a cha-cha. I go, really? Okay. Well, you're the one paying the bill, so I guess you win. But that was
a bit of a break in the culture between the two countries. Have you heard that story before?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Oh, yeah, because I'm going cha-da, da-da, da-da. They go, no, that's not a cha-cha.
Speaking of a cha-cha, together, play us a little cha-cha here for a minute.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Couldn't ask for more, and I can't thank you guys more. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but you're more than welcome to come back anytime you possibly can.
Our pleasure, my pleasure.
Our pleasure, thank you.
And running into Terry Bozio here as first day back from Japan a little bit earlier today. We're already getting some ideas of dates together where he could be in here with his Barney kit, and you guys would have a blast with that.
That would be a
day, you know, we would all remember, as we will today. Great informational information, great educational information, and great playing. So much. We're going to see you real soon, in a week or so, right?
Yep.
Those shows are live, right?
Yes, another season, Dancing with the Stars. We'll
live,
be back.
live. When you see him dancing, you'll know what's making him dance. There he is, Roland Garcia. Dr. Richie Gajate-Garcia. It's not quite official yet, but you're going back to be...
On May 5th, the commencement is on May 5th.
You get your official doctorate, yeah. Okay.
Then I'll go dance at Dancing with the Stars while he plays.
Yes, exactly. That'll be
in my robe, of course.
The parents of band members, yes, right. Thank you so much for coming today, too.
My pleasure. Thank you for having us. It's always a joy.
I enjoyed it so much. And thank you guys for listening. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's really important. You're going to see a lot of really cool things there. You can go there and enter a contest to win a DW snare drum, by the way. And all you have to do is just give us your email address and you're into that contest. So check that out. It's going to end the end of this month. Thank you so much. Again, see you guys later. And check out what we have coming up right now. I'm going to tell you a little bit more. It's me again. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what Drum Channel is all about. Sign up and register. You'll have a good time. And we need as many subscribers as we can get because then we can do a lot more stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.